தமிழ் அதருனா உலகமே அதருண்டா. தமிழ் மொழிகள் பலத்தான் பாடு தாளத்தை போடு நான் பாடுற பாட்டு நீ ஆடுற கேட்டு தட்ட தமிழ் பாட்டு நீ தமிழ் மொழியை மறந்து நாம பாட்ட நீங்க பாரு நீ மறந்து விட்டா மனிதனில வரும் கூட்டு கஷ்டத்தை நான் விட்டு போட்டு தமிழன் தமிழ் கட்டு நம்ம மொழி தமிழன் தான் கட்டுல கொடிய கட்டு தமிழ நாங்க போட்டு விட்டு வேணாண்டா வெட்டி விட்டு வேற நீங்க கட்டாம போடு நீ போடு நீ போடு நீ போடு நீ போடு நீ போடு நீ போடு சிக்கா பண்ணிட்டா போடு அட 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 போடு நீ பாரு. போனாலும் தமிழ் உண்டு பள்ளிக்கு சென்று புத்தகத்தில் கண்டு படி கண்டு தமிழ் ஒரு தொப்பு அந்த தமிழுக்காக தலைவணக்கம் நம்ம ஆட பாரு அதை அழிஞ்சிடாம கடைபிடிக்கும் தமிழ் வாத்தியாரு எங்க மொழி வாழ்ந்தா உயிரை கூட கொடுப்போம் தக்க மொழி தமிழ் தமிழ மதிப்பே இல்லையா தமிழுக்காக போராடு உரிமையோடு பாராடு ராகத்தோடு தமிழுக்காக பாடு நீ பாடு நீ பாடு நீ பாடு நீ பாடு நீ பாடு நீ பாடு. Check out my nina.
Bravo to Darky and the Keys. Welcome to the show, Flow State. How are you tonight?
Thank you. I'm good. That went hard. You went hard.
Thank you. I can't help it. I almost hurt my neck last night doing it, but I had to restrain myself for tonight. But right off the bat, let's talk about the psychology of what's going on with that group. In my opinion, I feel like they're into Indonesia, maybe not that much exposure to American culture, and they just saw Michael Jackson and they saw different things and tigers, and they have heavy metal in their hearts, even though they love Michael Jackson. And so they just got together. They don't want to play their instruments, but they just want to feel like they are.
And I felt like they were too, even though I'm pretty sure not all four of them were playing guitar.
None of them were playing instruments. It was all like pre-done on a keyboard, I think.
That's how a lot of concerts are anymore, so it works.
Yeah, the keyboardist wasn't even playing the keyboard on the video. And believe it or not, there are other music videos where they're reusing the footage from this. They're reusing it.
That makes me feel like maybe we should start a band.
I completely agree. Who else would be in our band from the Panelverse?
Who else? We need people who are kind of wild looking. Caucasian Sasquatch would bring some ZZ Top flavor to it.
Okay. But he doesn't like to interact with bitches from the internet. So would he let me be in the band?
Did he say that? I think that he'll be fine with it.
Okay.
I mean, if not, he's fired.
Yeah, okay. Well, at least from the band, or it's just not going to work. Who else?
We could bring Tommy in, Illuma Tommy.
I want Lindsay.
Because we need.
I want Lindsay.
Oh, well, yeah.
Together, and we're both very proficient in different ways with the way that we're going to use our bodies. You know, we're going to she's going to be like more of the front woman of it, and I'm going to kind of be like pulling the strings from behind.
Which is something that you're I'm under the impression you're pretty proficient in.
I could be.
You could be.
Now, expectations for this live stream. We have so many friends that are so excited to hear us talk. I saw comments from Harmon that he was so excited for this conversation.
This is really Harmon's creation, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
But also it was because everyone was so excited about my conversation with Jack. And we just want to kind of keep the high going. And I'm kind of chasing the dragon with this one. But honestly, we can't really have a similar experience tonight than I did with Jack, because it was a different situation with Jack. Because with Jack, it was a situation that I was trying to figure out. And I was trying to use different ways of asking questions to try and get to the root of what was really going on, and try and maybe what I'm doing is trying to help people to, in the process of answering my questions, maybe realize something about their situation to help them make decisions going forward. Would you agree with that?
I would. Do you feel like you got to the root of Jack? Did you figure out
what I determined from the conversation? Is that unfortunately, I don't think that Jack's vision is going to be realized the way he envisions it. And I think in order to make any kind of progress in the direction of his vision, he's going to have to start making compromises mentally and manage his expectations of what the outcome will be. That was what my main takeaway was from the live stream.
World peace is a pretty ambitious goal.
I definitely agree with that. And I think that when you want to be the front runner of change in that way, you're also kind of losing the percentage of possibility that you can be successful. So the chances of me dominating the earth and being the front runner and going down in history as the one that affected the change for all these things is less likely than if I join some movement of people who are all working towards the same goal, but I don't have any need to be recognized as being in the center of it. You know, that I'm more likely to get the outcome I'm looking for if I take myself out of the equation, or being acknowledged for it out of the equation.
If you prioritize the objective instead of prioritizing what really is probably the true priority, which is yourself.
Right. And of course, wanting world peace is also a selfish goal, because I'm going to enjoy life more if I don't see all this suffering around me.
I think that world peace sounds boring.
I was just
not in the sense that wars are fun, but conflict and competition is.
Right. Do you think, from your perspective, that you would enjoy life more if you knew that there was less suffering? So in other words, our lives aren't directly affected right now by a lot of sad things that are happening all over the place. It doesn't affect us. But for someone who, for some people, it might bother them more just knowing that it's happening. You can say that too for people that decide to be vegetarian, because it just, even though they're not going to be able to stop all the animals from dying by being vegetarian, it just, in their hearts, because it hurts them so much, it makes a difference to them, because it's, you know, that much less that's going to that cause. So are you one of those people where the suffering bothers you enough to the point where if it was eradicated, you would have a better day-to-day existence?
No, I mean, if somebody asked me if I would end suffering, if I had the ability to do that, I suppose I would do that. But it's not something that bothers me day to day. And I think that that's a state that people should achieve, actually. I think that letting something outside of your life, voluntarily bringing it in and letting it affect your life is, people do it for different reasons, but I think a lot of times it's a distraction for themselves, because it's easier to deal with someone else's problems than your own, right? So I don't think that that's a healthy place for people to live in. I also don't think that suffering is pointless. I think that it refines us and helps us grow. And if we think of somebody who's had everything handed to them their whole life, we all know somebody like that probably. That's another form of misery.
So I agree with you that suffering refines us. So, but I look at it like this. My suffering refines me.
Correct.
Your suffering refines you.
Correct.
But your suffering does not refine me, and my acknowledgement of your suffering and even my feeling bad about your suffering doesn't refine me at all. So the idea, so I'm bringing it back to the idea of like our existence changing if the suffering ends. What do you also think about the comparing of suffering? Like in Buddhism, they talk about suffering kind of being as a result of comparing yourself to others. So for the most obvious example is like someone who's homeless and poor, they compare themselves to a really rich person and they're going to suffer more because of that comparison. Meanwhile, they might be comparing themselves to someone else and they're still going to suffer more because of that.
I mean, I do think that suffering is a matter of perspective, right? You look at piercings. If somebody, like I got my tongue pierced in college. If somebody stabbed my tongue and I didn't want them to, that would be kind of a bummer. I'd be pretty pissed off about that, but I actually paid money for it. So suffering is, I think, greatly dependent upon perspective.
Okay, dude, I'm so glad you brought that up. That leads me to one of the interesting people that I wanted to kind of analyze with you. But before we jump into that, I just want to touch on the Myers-Briggs thing for a second.
Okay. Before
I became aware of your existence, I was like, I'm the Myers-Briggs person. I'm obsessed with this. And I was obsessed with taking the same test from the same website just because I always have. And I don't know why I just decided it was the best because it was what I was used to. You know, I never even gave any other test a chance, but I'm like, this is the old test, so it must be good. Well, today, before our live stream, I took it again, and I was an ESTJ instead of the ENFJ, which was supposedly my new thing from the ENTJ, which I had been for over 20 years. So I'm thinking like, is the Myers-Briggs bullshit because a different test did a different thing? Maybe I should have just stuck with the same test. But then I realized that in my experience, Myers-Briggs only seems to be the most accurate and helpful when I'm relating it to jobs, like placing people in jobs. But also I know that it can be applicable to relationships. So do you think that people, when taking the test, should be putting themselves, like, I guess I'm a chameleon and I have multiple people inside of me because there's the corporate Rose and then there's the friendshipy Rose, the truther Rose. That's maybe where I'm an ENFJ. But if I'm going to be a CEO of a corporation, I'm going to step into my ENTJ or ESTJ. So that leads me to my question to you. You're an S. I'm usually an N, but it can fluctuate. Always an E, always a J. It seems like the N and the F, or it can be an S or a T. So those things are more malleable, or maybe I'm closer to the cusp. But you seem really practical, like almost like you see things for what they are. And then someone who is an N is going to look for like the underlying reasoning. That's why I've interpreted over the years. However, how do you know, Flo, that you're not just making instant calculations, that you don't even realize that you're being intuitive, but you're actually, you think that you're sensing, but you're actually just making so many calculations and understanding the causal factors so quickly? Sorry for the long question.
No, that's good. So the MBTI test itself is really, in my mind, the most utility for it is it's a primer or an introduction for most people, at least in the West, into the broader topic of depth psychology or Jungian psychology that breaks people down into types. I actually prefer socionics, which is the Russian counterpart to the MBTI. When MBTI was being developed in the West in a commercial capitalist economy, it was developed in such a way that it's more marketable. So it focuses on people's strengths more. It's a little bit more flowery and about the individual. Socionics was developed in Russia under a communist dictatorship, or communism. And so it focuses more on how the types interact with each other and less on making the recipient of the information feel good about themselves. I also think it's been expanded more. I've got some issues with the MBTI as a product, but how do I know? I thought I actually tested as ENTP, on the official test. And on the test, for those who don't know, you can score, it's out of 60 points total. And so there's 30 on the inside for that dichotomy and 30 on the S side. I scored 1 into the inside when I took the test the first time, and I didn't know what it was. It wasn't until probably for 2 years later that I realized it was mistyped. That's just as I learned more, right? I learned more about it. People had been telling me, I got involved in type communities on YouTube, and people had brought up quite a few times that I was probably an ESTP, not an ENTP. And my response was always, no, I'm an ENTP. Look, here's the test. Now, that's the most censorish response that you could get, right? Like, I totally missed that. That's totally sensing to its core, right? Look here at this thing. So, yeah, I don't remember what the question was. Oh, how do I know that I'm not an intuitive? It really comes down to understanding what's being measured here. And at some point, the sensing intuition dichotomy especially is hard to describe, because intuition, there's just not good language for it. And what it means to be a sensing is almost too basic to explain in a way that's easy to grasp. So at some point that dichotomy clicked for me, and the way it interacts with the other functions. So
good. Okay, thanks for that clarification. I kind of understand it a little better now. With the E and the J that I have, it's indisputable, and I can't really like accidentally fuck it up in any way. But with the intuitive and the sensing and the feeling and the thinking, I feel like as an aware person who understands the environmental situation, you'll allocate intuition and sensing or thinking and feeling to an appropriate situation. So just like I was saying with the job environment or a relationship, I might put myself into a more cold and logical state of mind for the situation. So like if you're a brain surgeon, I'm going to like bypass the fact that I might be really stressed out that this person's life is on the line. But then I might have to step into my more feeling self if I'm picking out a fucking Mother's Day gift or something, and I'm like trying to make it from the heart. So that's why I feel like it could go either way with me with NS or FT.
Are you familiar with cognitive functions?
I mean, I understand the definitions of those two words, but not as a phrase that you're using. What are you referring to?
So once you get down deeper into the weeds of personality type, you've got 8 cognitive functions, and these are the mental processes we all use. And so that's really what I look for, more than just the straight dichotomy letters. So an ENFJ, for instance, its lead function, its dominant thing, the thing that it uses all the time, is sort of like the water the fish is in, right? That's going to be extroverted feeling, FE. That's the cognitive function. And that's managing the external emotional environment. That's why I think you're an ENFJ. You're very good at managing other people's emotions around you. That's why everybody simps for you constantly, right? For an ESTP, it's extroverted sensing. It's being in the real world. Response time, it's correlated with athletics a lot. But every type then is a combination of these 8 cognitive functions, and you've got 4 that are valued and 4 that are unvalued. And if you are the type that I think you are, I think you're an ENFJ, I've said, then that puts us in the same quadra, which means we use the same 4 valued functions, just in different orders.
Very interesting. Well, when I was making my thumbnail using AI, of course, for this live stream, I kind of wanted to put you as like the adventure seeker, sensing the world around you as you're skydiving, and then me on the mountain observing and thinking about things. So that was the thought that went behind that.
And I think that would be an accurate sort of way to look at each of our types is I am very much the type that does things like skydive. And ENFJs, assuming that is your type, are your second cognitive function then would be introverted intuition, which sort of in a nutshell brings all the information into a sort of a singular concept mentally, right? So extroverted intuitives take one idea and then explode it and innovate out of it. And then introverted intuitives take a bunch of data and funnel it into sort of a conclusion or worldview.
Very interesting. I can't decide which one I like more because I feel like I do both of those things at once. But anyway.
And both ENTJ and ENFJ both have introverted intuition as their second slot function. So if that helps tell you anything, out of the 3 types you've got, there's a consistency with those 2 that is missing with ESTJ.
Yeah. I like ESTJ, everything about what the description is. But when I look at the ENFJ, it just makes more sense to me. But I don't want to be all like horoscopy with our types. I feel like it's like kind of like self-centered to keep discussing our personality types. Old Joe was saying that he thinks that I have experience with counseling. I'm going to tell you the exact extent of the experience. It's probably a lot less than you think. But I did this whole alcohol and drug counseling like 3 semesters, and I became paralyzed in it, like, well, before I got like the certificate. And I did the internship credits, and during like the first 5 minutes, I realized I don't want to do this anyway. So maybe my stroke saved me. I'm just kidding. I would have known not to. But I don't like telling people what they need to hear because I don't think they're going to listen to me or give a shit. So I'd rather just be their friend and tell them what they want to hear. And then when they fall down, be there to pick them up and give them another alternate suggestion. And I don't think that's how it worked. But I remember I got straight A's, and the one class where the guy gave me a B, I swear it was because he had a personal vendetta against me, or he just like wanted to teach me a lesson about perfection or being a perfectionist. But that was the family group model thing where they talk about like whether you're the hero or the lost child or the mascot.
Oh, the dysfunctional family model thing.
The dysfunctional family model. Yeah.
The golden child or the.
Yeah. This like the one, like the lost child who's most likely to commit suicide, and the mascot who's most likely to become a comedian, and how like if there's codependency, it shifts everyone over one, like a fucking like one rolled over and one fell out. Who's the monkey on the bed? But yeah, I decided there were like a bunch, like a ton of 2-credit classes. And I just really loved just taking all these 2-credit classes because they were so easy. The difference between a 2-credit class at the city college and a 3-credit class was it's like, to me, 2-credit class means, oh, it's for fun. I'm doing this for fun. And a 3-credit class is like, oh, I'm doing this because I'm trying to conform to society.
And a lot of those soft science classes were at least when I went to school, they were easier. Sociology, especially, because sociology is so politically correct, right? I knew that every time I took a test in sociology, the correct answer was the politically correct one.
My sociology professor's name was Nathaniel Pyle, Pyle, just like from Full Metal Jacket. And he really, really wanted me to be what I do. He's like, you should, get a PhD in sociology, and like you can get paid to keep going to school and stuff. And I'm like, I don't really think I want to be doing this anymore. I don't even really know why I'm here.
Oh, I wouldn't. I got a college degree. I got a 4-year degree, and I don't miss school at all. College was great. That was a great 4 years, but actually being a student sucks.
University of Montana, Cal State Northridge, Santa Barbara City College. I changed my major so many times. I took so many classes. I don't know how many credits I got. All of my grades were like straight A's or withdraws because of like medical issues, where like at the end of the semester, I'd like end up in the hospital. I'd just be like, fuck it, whatever. But
it seems wild to me that they have students choose what they want to do and what career to go into when nobody's tried anything, right? The question, what do you want to do when you grow up, drives me fucking nuts, because it's always asked to people who have no idea. They've never tried anything.
Yeah, but on the flip side, it's so weird because in the days of old, a lot of times kids would like decide what trade they were going to get into, and then they would like enter an apprenticeship, and that's all they would focus on. So they would decide early. You said that you were testing out a good internet, and your your internet quality kind of seems shitty to me.
Does it seem shitty? It started getting shitty. Hold on a second. If it stays shitty, I can go fuck with people. I don't know why. I didn't notice it went down. Is it still down?
It doesn't really bother me unless it's bothering the audience. If the audience thinks that Flo State needs to improve his internet connection, let me know.
Let me know if I need to go out and make sure that nobody's doing something wild with the internet, like in the house. But I was hoping it would iron itself out.
Yeah, I mean, I have another Darkies and the Keys video lined up if you want to go do that.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. It's time for Puli Puli. I really love this one. If you didn't know, a lot of the words in this song are pulley pulley. So sing along. Welcome back to the show. Were you able to see what was going on?
I think so.
All
We'll see if that helps anything.
Either way, the audio is okay, and we can just turn off our cameras, and that will reserve the bandwidth.
Let me know if I need to power it down.
Okay.
The camera.
Well, let's just do it. Let's power down. Why not? Because now we're going to talk about things. So you were talking about piercing and the idea of pain and suffering. And I'm the type of person where I absolutely despise pain, and I will do practically anything to make it stop or prevent it. Okay. So when I heard about this guy named Bob Flanagan, and there was this documentary called The Life and Death of Bob Flanagan, it's about, I'm just going to put this up so that people have something to look at, but I'm not going to play much of it because it's kind of fucked up. The documentary was basically leading up to him dying on camera, which is this clip. It's him actually dying. So major trigger warning in case something actually accidentally pops up. But the thing is he was born with a terrible disease called cystic fibrosis. Your whole life is the slow process of drowning in fluid in your lungs. And it's constantly producing mucus. And so you got to get vests that pound on your chest. And you just constantly are trying to cough. So this guy, he's dealing with such an exorbitant amount of pain that in order to take control of the situation, he becomes a masochist and enters this super sadomasochistic relationship. And it is because of this super sadomasochistic relationship with this woman, Sherry Rose, and that's what I want to discuss with you, Sherry, what is going on with Sherry. I think that what might have happened is that him being in control of the pain in this way made him stronger and allowed him to live to be 45 years old when people usually die with this level of illness much, much younger. And so, Flo, I'm going to play this so you could just see them interacting a little bit at the end, because, you know, obviously this is the real shit, because this is like the moment. And you can see that she really loves him. And then I want to talk to you about what's going on with her. Well, actually, I'm going to tell you something that she said before I play this.
Okay.
Before he came to the hospital, she said, I feel like you're not submitting to me anymore. And I'm really worried. And I feel like you need to be doing that. So what I heard her say is that I don't want you to die. You're not doing this thing that we're doing anymore. So this is getting a little bit too real, almost like she's just not able to let him go. So I don't think it was really about her wanting to hurt him or be sadistic, more like she's trying to come to grips with the fact that this relationship is ending.
It's a concerning change.
Yes. So I had to end the clip as quickly as possible because the next shot, he really, I mean, you know, even though it's on YouTube, I'm not going to like force anyone to see that who wasn't expecting it or not realizing that they were grossed out by such a thing before seeing it, because maybe they never saw it before. But like, there's no other clip to show of them, because even on YouTube, like his dick is hanging out all over the place everywhere, like even on YouTube. So and it's funny because I used to have a video on YouTube that had boobies but attached to cat heads, and it lasted like 15 years. And one day I went to go check on it and it was gone. I'm like, damn it. So hopefully that clip like didn't like trigger the algorithm, and now all the Bob Flanagan dick videos are gonna be gone off YouTube. But he's like hanging himself upside down from the ceiling with weights. He's like driving nails through his penis. He's doing all these like really, really painful things to himself. They're making these videos where she's shoving things up his butt, and they're calling it the autopsy video. So this guy's like obsessing with pain and obsessing with death and stuff. But isn't it interesting how in those final moments, they just go back to acting like totally normal people, how you would expect at the end of life?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I guess it's not that surprising to me.
But about Sherry, what is with this desire to document the whole experience? Like, yeah, it exists, and so it's there for us to look at and talk about. But when Alex Stein was setting up his camera on his mom and filming the whole process of her dying right in front of all of us, and just like the idea of like setting up the camera in front of it, like picture her setting up the camera before that moment. It just seems, I don't know, it just seems like you have to be in a certain mindset. So like to this day, she's still going around like on interviews and talking about the whole situation. But what do you think about like that, about how do you think that that's possible, that that's how he extended his life, by being in this situation, that he was taking his brain off of the natural pain that he was experiencing and replacing it, but being in control of it? So like disciplining his mind to take it.
Yeah, it seems like he was trying to retrain himself in his orientation towards pain. And if I were to guess at the camera thing, I would think that documenting it is certainly could serve as a distraction from what else is going on, and also a way of preserve. A lot of people want to be remembered. I don't think that anybody is actually remembered, at least not in a proper sense. They become mascots, right? If you think about George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. So that's not something that I resonate with, but a lot of people do want to document. They want a record of their life.
Yeah. I used to be like that. And then when I had like my life turn upside down and lost everything, I was just like, fuck it, I'm not trying over again. So I don't like take pictures or document anything else. Like, oh, well, I had a good run. I tried. And then Facebook like deleted me during the COVID situation. And so I just lost like all of like the paraplegic keg stands from 2005. I'm never going to be able to match that. I'm old now. So who gives a shit?
You're not too old to do a keg stand.
Right.
Especially not when we start our band.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I gotta prepare myself. Can we get the keg in like Chimay though? I need it to be like a really like nice Belgian beer, not natty ice. Unless
Sure,
you're
you want to chug good beer?
What?
No, I'm past my natty ice years.
Okay, good. Okay, so now have you heard of Darrell Brooks? This is the next weird person that I want to talk about.
Sounds familiar. I it's not coming to mind though.
Okay, so Darrell Brooks. Do I have it up here? No, I don't. Let me just look him up. I'm gonna have to like. There are so many compilations about him, but since he's such a fascinating character, a lot of the most popular clips are of. Here, let me bring this up. Like, you know, law commentary people, and I just want like a compilation without people commenting on it. But here's what this guy did. Just look at his face. This is him while he's representing himself in court. And
oh yeah, I know who that guy is.
The Christmas parade guy. So for the people who aren't familiar with this guy, I find this guy so freaking fascinating. One day he was really pissed off, got in a fight with his girlfriend, punched her in the face, then just stormed off and drove towards this Christmas parade and injured like 70 people and killed 6. And it was complete carnage. And there's all these like webcam footage of the businesses that are looking at the street as he's driving by, and he's just plowing over children. And it was like a war scene. All these police officers that were veterans of war were saying like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Just like parents like trying to find their dead child in a sea of like crying children, like injured. It was just crazy. And this guy, he's like challenging jurisdiction. Like he's the most retarded guy I've ever seen in my life, basically. Like, and he lacks any self-awareness of how ridiculous he's being, that you're familiar with him, Flo. So I have to ask myself, did he just know that he was going away forever, no matter what? And he just wanted to waste their time, like waste tax money on having like a long drawn out case? Or do you think that he actually thought that he was having his historical moment where he was going to use like case law and Black's Law Dictionary and jurisdiction to get out of this mass murder?
This feels like a psyop to me.
Ooh, I love it. And so tell me why you think it's a psyop.
Because he represented himself and he did the Sov sit thing.
I honestly got scared that he like listened to he's retarded and that he listened to too many Crow 777 radio episodes. And just
you feeling a little responsible for this? No, I think that and also there's the race angle. I don't remember this specifically, but I know that there was a race component to it, or at least in the press, the talking points.
Okay.
Wasn't there?
But as a person though, I totally agree with you that it's a perfect psyop. It's just that he's so convincing as an ignorant weirdo psycho that how can he be controlled enough to get the public opinion to shift in the way that's planned?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch that much of it. I don't watch a lot of news at all, but this guy did catch a little interest of mine.
Let's just see if this top one, let's see if I can get away from any of the law and crime people commentary and just skip to something he said. Okay, now he looks pretty animated.
Yeah, he was
Over the
he was
top,
belligerent.
right now. Mr. Brooks, I'm ordering you to sit down and to let the state finish.
No, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody be inaccurate on the record and lie on the record.
Right. Under Illinois versus Allen, I've warned him repeatedly. He's being removed from the courtroom. And you know what? Let me dial that back. We're just going to take an early lunch, 1 hour. We'll be back. And unless he brings that letter, and he can show it is inadmissible, he will not be questioned, and under 906.11, I will declare the cross-examination closed. Thank you, we're in recess, 1 hour.
Oh, nice. Crispy watched this whole, I was looking in the comments, Crispy said, she watched this case until the last day. I loved it, every minute of it. Crispy, if you watch that much, please give your input. Yeah, it's so funny how we had to go into another room and object from another room, and he brought a piece of paper with him that said objection, and he shoved it into his belt. So he just stood there with the objection paper with this look on his face where it's like, Flo, maybe he is acting and he's just the best actor I've ever seen in my entire life. But I don't know, Crispy, since you watched it, I don't know. I feel like I'm leaning towards him just being a genuine psycho, especially he called his own girlfriend to the witness stand just to freaking torture her. Like there was no benefit from him bringing a girl who he beat onto the witness stand as a character witness, but he wanted to question her. And Crispy, don't you agree with me that he was so stupid? He just did a horrible job. It's just
a lot.
So part of the
And
thing that stands out to me is I assume this guy is in solitary confinement. He's too high profile a case to put in general population. I would expect somebody who's been locked in a 3x3 box for months to not be prioritizing tormenting his girlfriend. If that makes sense.
Say that again.
His behavior, Darrell Brooks is in jail representing himself, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I would assume that this is too high profile of a case for him to be in general population with everybody else. He might catch a knife.
Yeah.
So I would expect somebody that's been sitting in solitary confinement for months to behave in a way like his priority is not going back to solitary confinement, instead of like his priority is being an asshole and tormenting his girlfriend.
You would think. Exactly. Yeah, you would think. And so he has to be completely ignorant, or he thinks that his arguments and his case is so strong that, I don't know, I just feel like he has these looks on his face like he thinks that he's making history.
And that could be it too.
And that he's going to get out. So I don't know. It's like,
there's no way he can think he's going to get out, though.
It seemed like it. It really, really did seem like then why would he be making these arguments at all if he didn't think that he had a chance? That's why I was saying maybe he was just trying to waste their money.
Well, he could. I know that when I was in jail, I tried to waste their money. I actually made everybody in general population start as many toiletries as you're allowed every single day, even if they didn't want to shave, whatever, still get the razor and throw it away. So he'd being a douchebag.
It's too bad that I didn't come prepared with good clips to really show like the parts of him that are insane to comment on, because it would just take too long, because there's like, I don't know, maybe hundreds of hours of this guy. But people should look this up, and he's just like the weirdest character, and I don't know what to make of him at all.
And I agree. He's weird. I didn't know what to make of him either. That's why I put him in the PSYOP bin in my own head.
People have asked, why did she do that? Well, a common theory is that specialist and a bailiff tested.
Like, I know how to make that face, and I would if I was like trying to act crazy. It's not every day that you see a crazy person like acting so dramatically crazy,
Right. Face. That doesn't look like an organic face. That looks like a performance face.
But in his mind, he might just like be trying to put on this front that makes sense to him.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. He could be a real person performing for knowing the cameras are on him.
Right. And yeah. He knows the cameras are on him. And it's an interesting dude. Here's the next person that I wanted to talk to you about. I know that you know this girl. So there's a new development. I know you know who she is, but I don't know if you know the most recent development. Gypsy Rose, the victim of the mom with Munchausen syndrome, and she conspired and had this autistic guy murder her. And then she went to jail for 8 years. And while she was in jail, she married this guy and then got out, and they're acting like celebrities and going on all these interviews and playing like the newlywed game. And it's so fascinating that she's trying to like market herself as some kind of celebrity. I don't think a lot of people can get away with it, but look at this older.
We're being intimate for the first time, so the spark is plenty alive. Yeah. So blowing. So it's all good. Yeah.
So then he's giving advice on how to keep the spark going in the marriage and everything. So then all of a sudden she dumps him because of snoring, apparently. And then she got a rhinoplasty, got a brand new nose.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard shares a message about hope amid her new chapter. The advocate takes to TikTok to mark her new era following her prison.
So what's going on with this girl?
Mental disease breeds mental disease, right? This shit runs in families. And I don't think you get to be raised with a Munchausen mom and not get some sort of a personality disorder of your own. And I know that's going to sound insensitive. I'm not like victim blaming or anything like that. I mean, maybe I am, whatever. But yeah, it's no surprise that she's probably got a bit of narcissism or a borderline. I would expect her to be borderline.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how she acts.
Her entire life has been in a position of dependency, whether it was her choice or not. And she has needed to manipulate her situation in order to gain control in any other way. So like sneaking around in order to gain any kind of freedom or talking to boys on the internet and stuff. So that's like how she was formed. She was formed like trying to survive. And so not having any experience in real life or knowing how to navigate the real world, I can totally see her as like the ultimate cliche hypergamist, where she probably had a couple of girlfriends in jail and she was like climbing up the ladder, and then she got her husband out of jail in position so she would have a place to go while she was like on her exit strategy. And then now she's back with like some other guy that she was with before. So she's just jumping from one guy to another. And in her mind, she might not even realize what she's doing. She's just trying to look for that security and survival. I think that guy, Ryan, that she just dumped, looks exactly like her mom.
Well, that's a creepy element to add to it. I could see that, how that would breed a sort of codependency.
Yeah.
Victims people who have been victimized, especially in their early life, seem to go back to some form of their abuser.
Yeah. Let's talk about that interesting situation that, and I feel like it's boring without our cameras on now. So let's try it, even though your internet sucks. What the hell was up with that lady on your stream who did not make any sense? When Cynthia said that there was a cultural difference, I was so offended. I have never heard something that I felt was so racist, because all of my Black and Mexican friends would be so offended if talking like a fucking savage animal was because of a cultural difference. I think she was fucking insane. She was an insane person, and she was disrupting your stream. I was trying to ask her questions. She was responding with bullshit. And so I wanted to match her bullshit. And anyone wants to say that was her fucking culture? If she showed up at a hospital like that, I guarantee her fucking regular English would come back into existence immediately if she actually wanted to communicate.
I mean, it would flash in and out. Yeah, I agree. It wasn't a cultural thing. As Cynthia sometimes has a weird way of trying to smooth things out that maybe don't need to be smoothed, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But it wasn't cultural. But yeah, that shit was wild. If you want to play a part of it, let me know. And because I privated that stream because at the very end of it, AFR douchebag pulled his gun out.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
All right, let me find it here. Yeah, she was wild though, and she didn't ruin the stream. She made a fantastic segment of the stream. I had a good time with that.
Okay, let me rephrase it. I was listening to what you were talking about and enjoying myself and doing typing competitions, and I was just in my flow. And she disrupted it for me to the point where I had to stop what I was doing and join to try and just like, I couldn't exist as a spectator at that point. I had to join. And
I wish that you had stayed longer. She was nuts.
I guess I should have.
You weren't going to make any progress with her. But
that's why I left, because I didn't feel like I was going to make progress. But in the future, you can always let me know if you liked it for content. But I didn't want to go around in circles and be boring.
Well, I've been accused of taking advantage of people for content.
So much.
Let's see. Do you want to jump to where you were talking? Let's jump to where you were talking, Jordan. We can go back to the beginning. If
just to when I joined and I was like, can I ask you some questions to try and figure out? Because people don't even need to hear the nonsense doing before, because it was not, you can't understand it. So they'll just see what I asked her, how she responded to me. And I want you to tell me if I was inappropriate or insensitive, or if I'm too impatient with people that I think are mentally deficient. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to grow.
Well, let's take a look and let the people decide.
What are you? You weren't quiet there, Lashandra. We can't hear you. Go on, sis.
I said I'm all. I just told you I'm all.
Ah, so you're all the races. Okay, so you're Aboriginal. Okay, so which Indian tribe are you from? Are you Chickasaw?
I'm not it. I'm original. I'm not Aboriginal. I'm original.
Hi, Lashandra.
Such a nice intro. Hi.
My name is Rose. It's nice to meet you.
Pleasure, love. How are you?
I'm doing great. One of my favorite things to do is meet new people, especially people that have an interesting and unique point of view. And I was just wondering if I could ask you some questions to get a clearer picture of your perspective.
First, let me do the super chat. Thank you, Lindsay, for the $5. She says, quit edging the room, to which I say, no, you cannot come yet.
Yes, please do. Please do. All things are welcome. We're all welcome. But let's go.
Do you have any children?
I do.
Oh, that's so wonderful. How old are they?
My oldest is 30 plus.
Okay, awesome. So they're grown. All right, cool. So when they were, okay, I'm sorry, you said just one child who's 30?
No, I have 3.
Oh, okay. And what are the other ages?
What does that matter? Ask your question.
Well, the answer to the question will help me think of the next question, because like I said, I'm trying to paint a picture in my mind of the foundation of where you are and where you come from. And if I understand...
Well, that wouldn't include my children. If you want to ask the question and you want to know where I come from, then you would ask of my background, not of my child or my children. So speak of my background and then ask me where I come from and what is my foundation. You don't speak of the children. We don't never deal with children. That's our problems. We need to get out of it. So let's speak of me. Ask me about me.
I will. So let me rephrase it this way. From where you came the culture that you came from, the elders in your life who influenced you, what do you think the most important thing was bestowed upon you in terms of wisdom and knowledge that you felt was important to bring forward to your children? Like, what is, if I wanted to have children as a mother, what advice would you give to me to impart to my children if I wanted to be in your position as a mother?
Never listen to outsiders. Listen to your folks. Pay attention to your people and what they're giving to you, and how you're gonna move in the dynamics of this world and how this world is portraying itself to you. What is this world giving you? How is the dynamic of the world? They're telling you a story and they're placing their narrative onto you. That your folks, you're gonna go outside your folks in that narrative of your folks. So you're telling, so you're as a child, you're gonna say your folks is lying to you. My folks is not good. You're gonna go outside your parents or your folks or even if your people are some fucked up people. Are you gonna go against the people that is closest to you to say that some source that you don't know, you never met, never took care of you, never fed you, never gave you no piece of no bread, no water, no none of that to say that they're great to you? Huh? Tell me where the fuck you sit to a source that ain't sitting with. Tell me where you sit with that you ain't provided nothing for yours. Huh? What you doing then? Huh? How you moving then? What source is it that's great for you? Tell me what it is. That's the outside narrative. Come on, walk with me. Walk with Grateful. Huh? And I am Lashandra at the same fucking time. Fuck with it.
But you're an outsider to us. Didn't you just kill your own argument?
Well, I think she meant like for the children. They,
I think it's about to pick up, but just real quick. I can't remember if it was it Cynthia that pointed out that asking about the kids was the wrong thing. I think.
But why no one could tell me why what I said was like upsetting to her to bring up the kids? I was just asking like the most basic question I could.
Well, you don't never know what's going to make somebody defensive, right? So it's not that you were in the wrong for asking that question, but if you're trying to get somebody to feel comfortable with you, right? But it's also interesting because I think that, and on reviewing it now, I think that when you brought parenting into it, then I think that also jumped her to some other memory, right? She seems like she's talking to us, but not us.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so at this point, after I started, because I had to ask the question in order to get the negative response. So I was going to take it into a completely different direction to try and make her feel comfortable. But I think at this point, when she just started going off, just like Michelle said, that I asked a simple question and it led to a meltdown. A very simple question led to a freaking meltdown. So at that
point, she had already been melting down.
Yeah. So I gave up and I was ready just to kind of like, I don't know, I guess just party. So
it goes on. It's just picking up now, if I remember.
What is the point of this elder abuse? And I'm willing to accept that maybe I was inappropriate. And
this isn't elder abuse. She had a baby or a small child. One of her kids in the background was young, so she's
fertile.
Ish, yeah, or was recently.
Gotcha. Oh, when Lindsay said, kind of like facial expression, don't have the same facial expression on, but my camera wasn't on. But I realized if my camera had been on, it would have looked like a duplicate because I was like, what is she saying?
That's why you came down like, oh, she's hiding her micro expressions.
You might try to derive meaning, about, sticking to your own or whatever. But honestly, I believe she is not mentally there, or she was intentionally just trying to act crazy because she didn't want to talk to us.
I think she was legitimately crazy.
Go ahead. Trust outsiders when you're a child and you should just listen to your parents. Is that correct? Did I understand you right, Lashandra? That you don't really want your children mixing with outsiders from a different culture because maybe they'll be given ambiguous messaging? Is that what you mean?
Well, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said child should deal with empty narrative. Now, child, I don't care about your color. What did color come into the play? Huh? Where did color come into the existence of a play? So this is the problem. What you said, folks, that y'all in here, you know, y'all mixing with using mixies. Y'all mixies. Y'all so mixies with this of a narrative that's given to you. Y'all are so focused on what's been given, but you ain't giving nothing. You're not being great within your hold up. You're not being great. So listen, if you are a creator within the existence of your mind and your family, even going through whatever traumas you all go through trauma. We're all being led a certain way. But you are, when you become a certain way or you become a certain age, it was change and make that narrative your way. So where do you step into your position to bring your own way? See, y'all is still arguing a fact of something when you
Where
can be
in
the
the
changer.
fuck do you find these people?
Well, we didn't step into our roles. We via force usually.
Lashandra, what is an example of the most egregious narrative that has been spun to deceive people today?
Well, what is yours?
What do I think is the most egregious narrative? I don't know, maybe like the transhumanist agenda that humanity should like upload their consciousness into a robot, which I don't even believe is possible. I think it's a lie and an inversion to try and get people to be in a system of control, mostly government control.
Flow State, we can't do that right there. No, when
What
she
the hell
asked
was this guy's problem?
question, we have to talk about reality, people, and everything. I see what you are doing, light skin. Slow down. My switch done flip because I see what's going on. See, just because I said what I said, don't think that you can pounce on her because I'm a balanced human being. So redirect that question, Ms. Mac, and let light skin answer it again.
That's right, light skin.
Yeah.
But Rose, let me translate, Vic. Be aware of the people you're having conversations with. I don't know, like I don't understand transhuman and unloading consciousness and stuff. And of course, I would never ask anyone to you know, change what they think. But to me, it looks like there's a mix. There's just like a miscommunication happening right now. And even though we're speaking the same language, we're still not understanding each other. Not based off of you, Rose, or anybody in particular. I'm saying in general, like when you deal with diversity, there's a huge diversity language.
What is womanese again? Are you serious?
Hold on. What the fuck is confusing about me saying that a narrative that I find egregious is that there are people out there who are telling others that they can upload their consciousness into a robot, and I don't think that's true. What about that is difficult to understand no matter how you slice
it? Vic, your audio is going out.
Vic, your audio. You lost me at the first word.
Rose,
So when you said
I don't understand.
Rose, you lost me at Rose.
No, I understand completely, Rose.
Initial. I'm ready for this shit. I ain't got to go to work. I ain't got to go to work anymore. But Flow State, know what happened was? What happened was what had happened was, like in the Negro language, what had happened was I said something to the sisterhood, and everybody thought, not everybody, but somebody thought that they can come in and attack See, I told y'all I am that I am, and all that I'm not,
What?
I never will be. But I am balanced. So I understand balance. What this is what I'm saying. No, what the whole thing is, look, pretty brown, light skin. You came in and thought you had the room to attack. You got to believe and you got to understand that I am still who I am, right? No, what happened was you deflected from what she was talking about and talking about computer programming motherfuckers' mind. I'm talking about the minds that already have been programmed by other humans. Damn that old other shit that Elon Musk gets. No, listen what I'm saying. Let's go back to what the
All negative
sisterhood
emotions
asked
will be
you.
relinquished.
And I want
All feeling will neutralize. You will be able to live a fully functional, satisfactory experience in a completely safe utopia.
I was trying to ask questions so I can understand what the fuck she's talking about because nothing she said made any
Vic,
sense.
yeah, we don't understand what she's saying. So if you understand it,
No, I understand what she's saying. No, I understand what she's saying because she just holding back of what she's saying based on the panel. What? No, listen what I'm saying. Look,
You gotta speak English before you can.
Okay, Flow State. What happened was when I was saying a certain thing, she came up on this motherfucker trying to check me because I was relating to a certain mindset of certain people that are not.
but she said she wasn't talking to you.
No, but I knew that she spoke about energy. I live in the area where black people talk about energy. And when they talk about energy, it's the energy that they finna display on your motherfucking ass. I was the only black person that was talking that could relate to Caucasian people. So when she came up here talking in a black tone, I already knew based on what I was saying, she wasn't gonna have agreements with it. You see what I'm
Cindy
saying?
and I were talking about energy.
I gotta correct you. I gotta correct you there too.
No, you can't correct me because look, basically, they done heard everything I said. They heard everything I said, and guess what? After what I said, you got right up under my wing and you aligned yourself with what I was saying. I said,
she said she was talking about energy
I am
way before you
and
even got
everything.
here.
And now run it back, Flow State. When she aligned herself.
What the hell are they talking about? I still don't know. What?
It never made any sense to me, and I can't figure out if he actually, because I'm not sure if he took it in a weird direction and he was wrong in his interpretation, or if he got it perfectly right. You know what I mean?
Or he was trolling. I'm not sure.
I couldn't follow that either.
Can you fast forward it to like when I yell at her and then listen?
Yeah. I think I could there.
With me, now it gave light skin the moment to come in and try to attack.
What the hell are you talking about?
Hold on. Let me correct this shit then. Okay, let me correct this shit. Mama, you right there. Listen, I understand where you're coming from. No, listen. And brother, I got
don't call me brother. Hell no, don't call me brother.
No, let me correct this shit. What you did is want to be called what you was to maybe displace yourself in the placement. But I'm telling you, I will never displace myself in none of these positions. What I'm telling you is, I am the is. And you know how they play. If you play on it, you play on a position. Hold up. You played on a position to say that I am, that I is, that I is, that I am, that I am, that is, that I am. Hold on, sweetheart. You don't have no displacement with that. Hold on.
I don't have look at that.
I'm about to climb up. Hold on. Hold on, sister. I'm about to cam up on this shit. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Bring it. Cam up. Let's speak the same motherfucking language. This bitch.
Sit here quietly and absorb the looch and read a super chat or anything if they come up.
It's crazy how it's frozen. So
we can't hear you. You're muted. You're still muted, LaShondra.
Let's take it from the top. She's acting crazy to waste people's time.
You are muted. You're muted. We can't hear you.
I can't hear a god saying.
So here I am.
That was fantastic.
I'm gonna say this to you.
Normally.
Sweetheart, you listen, I'm nowhere near disrespectful to nan ting. Because I know all things are derivative of this thing. Of this thing. All things are derivative of this.
All things are derivative of what?
Of this thing.
This thing?
You heard me.
This thing?
This thing.
Thing or ting?
What are you on the verbiage? Do you know?
I am having trouble comprehending the words you are trying to
Are
say.
you of the verbiage? Do you know the verbiage or not? Do you know the language?
I'm not familiar with the words that are coming out of your mouth.
That's how come we know. That's how come we know you're not of the language. You're not of the language. You're not of the verbiage. You're not of the this.
Okay. I don't know your verbiage. You can't explain definitions.
No, I don't have to. I'm not supposed to.
Why are you here if you don't want to communicate?
I'm communicating, but not of the language. You ain't gonna get that from me.
But I'm asking
if you know it. Hold up. If you know your words, if you know that you are of this, then you know the word.
Okay, so all you have to do is tell me what a word means once, and then I'll know the translation.
Do you know the word? Do you know the word?
The word of what?
Do you know it?
Of God? The word, like capital W from the Bible?
Do you know the word?
I don't know what you are referring to, so how can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Well,
do you know the word?
All the information.
Do you know the word? Do you
She doesn't know the word. She doesn't know the word.
Oh, look at this. Off forehead. Do you know the word?
I know the word.
Do you know the word?
Yes. Did she just get self-conscious about her forehead?
I don't know.
I think she did. When you dropped off and then I came up, she goes, "Oh, look at this, all forehead."
I don't feel bad at all. I was worried that maybe if we played that, I would feel bad afterwards, but that was ridiculous. Yeah, she's just crazy.
Anybody can insult you. If they do, then that's their hypersensitivity and they need to, she came to my channel acting nutty. If you go somewhere and act crazy,
you just cut
you
out
get
for a
what you
second.
get.
But see, I was annoyed because Crispy was talking about something interesting during the time, and then when she came on, it was just like a complete disruption. But maybe we should have tried to have more fun with it. But I was trying to have fun with it by asking her simple questions and seeing if we could have some kind of conversation. But I feel like it would have gotten old really quick no matter what, because she can't talk. She can't have a real conversation. So
Correct. Yeah, probably. I wouldn't have mind having it go on a little longer, but
yeah,
it wasn't going to go anywhere productive.
It's just that, like, when people are not capable of providing me with like a specific answer to a simple question, I guess that's just a pet peeve. But anyway, I honestly, like, do you think that she was talking about what is the word? What does the word mean? The word? Do I know what word is there to know? Is there a special word that
I have no idea. And like I said, I couldn't tell at the beginning earlier, and maybe we should actually pull up a little piece of this to see, because Vic was talking her, and I'm not sure if they were communicating with each other clearly, because I didn't understand what the hell was going on.
Oh,
did you see the part with Vic?
No. I think when I left, I really did leave. I kind of want to change the subject. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I have like a little list here. Gosh, now that I'm looking at the list a couple hours later, it's like, wow, trying so hard here. Okay, we discussed the cultural difference, lady. We discussed a little bit about the difference between S and N. And then we talked about that. Let's see here. I'm just thinking if I'm going through all the things. Oh. Okay. Are you familiar with the topic of cymatics?
No.
Okay. You will be once I explain it. Just the name for it you may not have known. So when you take sand and you put it on a plate and you vibrate the plate at a certain frequency, all of the sand positions itself into a different place so that it looks like sacred geometry. Have you seen that before?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So there's the idea that the music that was produced used to be in 432 hertz. And then there was like a intentional change to 440. And people say that 432 is special and healthy and that 440 is not. And cymatics would be evidence of this, because when you look at the cymatic patterns that 432 makes, it looks really beautiful. And then 440 looks jagged and dissonant. So it makes sense to me. But at the same time, that frequency is only applying to A to tune the whole orchestra. So if it's just that note that's tuned to that frequency, you're still getting different frequencies from the notes around it, right?
Correct. Yeah, you'd have to change everything.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that I'm even really buying that, but a lot of people really, really do report that they feel like healing benefits from 432 or solfeggio frequencies. So I don't know if you've ever like looked into frequency healing or anything, but does any of that like make sense to you? Do you think that you could like listen to music and cause like cellular regeneration? Because you look on YouTube and you see all these like, 528, the frequency of the earth for cellular regeneration. And honestly, I don't buy it. What do you think?
So it makes sense both ways, right? Like obviously, sound is a physical wave, so it would make sense that it would impact us. But also, it seems like one of those fantastic magical rabbit holes that people can get lost in.
Yeah, I did try
I need some sort of evidence personally. I'd need some sort of like experience.
Yeah. Well, I tried a headache one once, and I wasn't sure if it was like it wasn't actually music. It was like something going, but I had such a bad headache that I didn't care. Like if it maybe would help, it didn't make a difference to me because I was already having the headache. So I'm sitting there listening to it. But honestly, I really felt like I was just empowered by the comment section. Like everyone trying, like, so sorry, everyone's having a headache here. We're all in this together. Hope everyone feels better from their headache. And while I'm listening to it, like, I was like taking that supplement and chugging water. So who the hell knows what got rid of my headache? But I don't know.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's one of those things that I don't know how we would test it really. Like I don't have the equipment to test it.
Yeah.
And so I just sort of put that stuff on the back burner until more information comes in, but I'm not in a place to test that right now.
All right. Well, with the current information that you have, everything that you have in your observations of humanity and researching things, what's your stance on the idea of the Illuminati in general, the ruling elite, those who seek to control us? Is it really a plan to try and hurt us all appropriately so that humanity is easy to deal with for those that are in charge or inherited the control? Or are these effects that everyone's talking about and noticing a result of just gross negligence, ignorance, lack of care, laziness, or financial greed, and just people making deals with each other, and then everything's organically leading in one direction?
I think it's a real thing. But I don't know that I think that the people are fixed. I think, like you can look at Rockefeller, right? Rockefeller obviously had huge initiatives personally to put in motion some of the things we have in place today. And the World Economic Forum, right, continues to sort of push us in an intentional direction. but I'm not sure that I believe that the I think institutions get their own momentum, right? So a green agenda or a net zero agenda, for instance, that thing's got enough legs behind it that it will keep moving on its own. And individuals will join it out of self-interest because it's already moving. It doesn't really need somebody behind it pulling the strings at some point. So yes, I think that we are controlled and there is an intentional direction, but no, I don't think it's like 5 people sitting around a table. And as far as this, I don't know. The Illuminati, it might just be a distraction. Like the damn, I can't think of what it is. Bilderberger Group, like that seems real. The Council on Foreign Relations, real, right? I think that these function as the Illuminati. I'm doing air quotes over here.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think that there are special interest groups like Bilderberg, Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Club of Rome, the World Economic Forum, the Federal Reserve, the Rockefeller family, all of these different foundations, charitable organizations that are pretty much fronts, all of these different things, people who were born into families and like inherited power, and they're complete psychos and they don't know what they're doing. Maybe add that into the fold, but then they're like partying and having fun with people in control. So somehow gaining influence accidentally. I feel like all of it's going on, but it's kind of like, I got to hand it to Mark Passio because it makes complete sense to me. And I don't mean to be a parroter or a repeater, but one thing that he taught that really makes sense to me is that there's those 4 principles that he's calling the tenets of Satanism. And it doesn't matter whether or not the person calls themselves a Satanist. The thing is that these 4 things are part of like the dark side of the human condition. So because like the part of the human condition that's causing people to exhibit these tendencies, they're all working towards the same result and the same goal, which is equal to what he's calling Satanism. But I don't even have to call it Satanism because, like I said, these people, some of them, they might not even know what Satanism is. They might think that Satanism is people worshiping a literal devil when real Satanists don't even believe in God. So there's no way that they could believe in the devil too. They believe in themselves. So those 4 things was, just as in case anyone doesn't know, self-preservation, social Darwinism, eugenics, and moral relativism. So when you have those 4 things, the reason why I agree with that and it makes sense to me is because I look at society and culture and it just feels like people are adopting those ideas. So like the idea of social Darwinism, where some people get to decide who lives and who dies. This is how we're going to orchestrate humanity. And so that people are going to live with this. They're going to get this much for Social Security disability. Insurance is going to cover this surgery. So that is deciding who lives and who dies, so it's just examples like that. Whereas in a different kind of society where different values are the majority that we're seeing exhibited in all these areas, we would have a different outcome. What do you think of that whole spiel I just gave?
First of all, I will always have a soft spot for Mark Passio. I really like the guy. I don't agree with everything he says. He's the angriest fucking person with a podcast, but he's the shit. Can you repeat the 4 things again?
Self-preservation. So it's me. Social Darwinism, deciding
survival of the fittest, basically, applied to society.
Moral relativism is that there's no objective morality and that we decide what is right and what is wrong. And then eugenics, which is like the control
Selective breeding.
race. And actually, what Mark says also that I love so much is that eugenics is a misnomer, because that would be the improvement of the human race. And by our standards, that should be like having morality and spirituality. So it's really dysgenics, which is like the dumbing down or the enslavement of humanity. Now that I'm talking about Mark Cassidy, I can hear myself going into his voice. Enslavement.
Yeah. So I think what was the question? What do I think about all that stuff?
Yeah,
I think that he's right. I think he's right in his assessment. And if you look at it though, I don't know, maybe I'm a better Luciferian than do you know Gen X Jeff?
No, nope.
Okay. Well, he's got a channel, but he's a Satanist. And he's told me before that I'm a better Satanist than he is. And when I hear those things, with the exception of eugenics, I'm sort of seeing his point. Like social Darwinism, for instance. Don't you think that all parties are involved in this dynamic voluntarily? And by that, I mean, if you don't want somebody else making your decisions for you, why are you not in a position to make them for yourself or putting yourself there? I think that society is trained to be obedient and basically like, look, we're eternal children. If you ever watch the president field questions from the press, it always baffles me how you've got all these adults sitting here asking the president about all sorts of every fucking problem on earth that should be handled, privately or not by the government, from drug use to curfews to just everything. And it's sort of loopy looking at it from that perspective that we're all totally dependent. Nobody wants to deal with anything that's going on in their lives. Everybody's looking for someone else to deal with it for them. But I do think that I don't know about eugenics. Probably. Yeah, I would agree that those four things are what drives the agenda forward.
Yeah. Do you think that we'll ever see the kind of future that we saw in the movie like Gattaca, where people are really able to like engineer their babies to the point where normal people are kind of viewed as having a disability? Or do you think that's mostly science fiction fantasy that won't come to fruition?
I think that it won't come to fruition because everything has unintended consequences. And I think that we're just not good at we don't do better than nature. Mm-hmm. It seems like whenever we try to game nature, we end up fucking ourselves or the environment up more. So I don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah. I agree. Just like with how, like, remember they cloned that sheep, even if that was a psyop and fake, like the idea that it lived a shorter life because like you can't copy nature. So even though they copied the sheep, it had medical problems. I want to address what Lindsay said about Darwinism. Darwin was wrong. It's really a case of survival of the shittiest. Yeah, I like that. That's funny, Lindsay. I thought you said something else, so I was going to try to correct you, but I didn't realize that you were telling a joke. But the way that I was taught Darwinism was in like biology class, as I recall it, is that it's not survival of the fittest as in my muscles are bigger than Flow State's muscles or Flow State's muscles are bigger than me. It's not about your physical strength. It's about your ability to procreate. So if you go back to like the praying mantis, if the praying mantis procreated and then had its head eaten by the female, it was still more fit by Darwin's because it's his ability to procreate. A praying mantis that lives a long life without procreating wouldn't be as fit.
I think I'm reading into the example you chose.
I know. Yeah. That should be a segue into our MGTOW conversation.
Oh man. But real quick on moral relativism, what do you think about that? Do you think morality is relative?
No, I think that I totally agree with Mark Passio. Do no harm.
Stealing is stealing, for instance. You think stealing is never okay?
Okay. Aladdin stealing the apple from the cart was immoral, but I understand why he did the immoral thing in order to preserve himself. And I'm glad that he sustained himself because I don't want Aladdin to die. But at the same time, the right thing to do was for Aladdin to get a job and buy the apple from the apple cart guy.
Okay, but let's do an intentionally extreme example. You're starving to death, and so are your kids.
Right.
You have to steal, or you all die. In that case, stealing would not be immoral. You could ask for it first. If the person denies you food, then aren't you obligated to steal? Because wouldn't it be more immoral to kill your kids or let them die?
I think we should be living in a society where if they're starving children, the person who they're stealing from would just give it openly. So
Right.
we're living in a screwed up situation where people have to quote unquote steal when we're living in a world full of so much abundance and resources.
But that sidesteps the paradigm that I was setting up intentionally.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just like kind of the idea of the train where you have to choose which way the train goes and who dies. Or I love this one. I remember I was 13 years old and like
would you change the way the train died so that it only killed one instead
this is the question that I heard on Dennis Prager. Do you save the elderly person drowning or the baby? So this is my thinking. The elderly person is aware of their suffering and they have like the fear element that they're dying. And like, I feel like the suffering might be more intense because of the anxiety. Not saying that babies can't have anxiety or know that they're drowning. The baby has a whole entire life to live. And so you'd think that the old person would say, fuck the baby, but I don't I would
somebody clip that.
I mean, I guess it's kind of luck of the draw. In the moment, you just save who you can, just like a burning fire. You run in, and if the dog's there, you might grab the dog because it's closest to you, while like a fireball's going into your eyeball, even though there was another one over there. But what do you think about the drowning elderly versus the drowning baby? Let's make the baby like. No, let's just make it a regular baby. It's a regular
I
baby.
saved the baby.
Old person.
No, hands down, I saved the baby. No, well, one, for the obvious reason, it's got more life left, but also because it puts me at less risk. An old person might drag me down. You know, you hear about the thing where trying to save somebody from drowning, will get somebody drowned. Baby's not going to drown me, and it's got more life to live left, so I'm prioritizing that. The train example that you referenced earlier, and for those who don't know, the question is something like, if a train is heading towards 5 people and you have the option, you can divert the train to where it only hits one person who wouldn't otherwise have been hit, and the 5 survive, or you can just not do anything. Would you change the course and then take on that responsibility for having killed the one person that otherwise would have been alive? And I would do that too. You're muted. I can't hear you.
What if the one person like is or isn't Hitler, or the 5
No.
like
I mean, do I already know that it is? It doesn't matter what it's going to become. And that in that moment, I don't know what any of them will become, but I know that whether I pull the lever or don't, I've made a choice. If the power is in my hands to decide where this goes, and I don't do anything with that power, I've still done something. I've still made a choice.
What about the Joker situation from The Dark Knight, where there was those people on those 2 ships? And I don't remember it right, but I probably am getting this right because I can't think of this interesting thing on my own. So I must be just remembering it. That they have to push the button to kill the other side. Or if nobody presses the button, everybody dies. So everybody's going to die if you do nothing. Kind of like that train, right? But do you want to be the one that is the one who presses the button to save everyone around you, but kill everyone else? That is a trip to me.
I don't say the paradigm again.
Oh, it's awful. Now that I've mentioned it, I'm like freaked out by it all over again. You got two ships.
Uh-huh.
Do nothing, everybody explodes and dies. Unless someone presses a button on this ship.
Uh-huh. Who won the shitty internet contest?
My internet's fucked up. And are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What happened?
I don't know. I was you kind of glitched and then froze and then dropped out. And I sat here and gloated about my internet being better.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm supposed to have like the best internet ever, and I don't know why this is happening. But what was I just saying? Shit.
Okay, so there's two ships. If nobody does anything, everyone dies. If you push the button, then what? That's where I lost you.
If you push the button, then the other people die. So you and I are on ship A. We press the button, ship B dies. If you and I are on ship B, we push the button, ship A dies. If we do nothing, ship A and ship B both die after like 15 minutes. So we have 15 minutes to either kill the other side or definitely die.
Oh, I'd push the button immediately.
And do you call that moral?
I call it, I don't know that I would say that's a moral thing. I call it pragmatic. If your intention is to reduce loss of life, you know that at least one ship is going down either way. That's just the math. So yeah. Then self-preservation just kicks in. Like, I don't know. You can call that immoral if you want to, but there's no objective reason for me to value the other ship more than my ship. And since I'm acting in my own as an interested party, I'm going to get rid of them first.
Yeah. Well, I agree with Super Trutha, and I like your name, Super Trutha. This scenario will literally never happen, which is true. And it does seem kind of weird to think about impossible situations, but I don't know. I think it's fun.
Isn't to prepare for an unlikely scenario. The point is to understand your reasoning better.
What about the idea of like,
and what makes someone tick?
I think that can you hear me, or was I interrupted?
Mm-hmm.
I think it just sucks.
No.
Let me close this. I'm going to try and keep my camera off, even though it's more boring, but chaos, sorcery, alchemical ideas with the mind, hypnosis. I think that we've spoken in the past that I don't think I can be hypnotized. I don't think you can be hypnotized, but I can still inject ideas into your mind. Like I can just describe an animal of any kind. I'm saying animal right now, and you might be thinking of a bunch of generic things, but most people and almost everyone in the chat, it would be very, very difficult for me to say adorable, cute, fuzzy monkey and not have everyone here picture something in their mind that they associate with monkey or a monkey. So I mind control. I committed mind control. It didn't harm anyone, but it happened, right? I controlled people's minds by putting the image in it, right?
Okay.
So the hypnosis is actually causing people to react to it in a certain way, right?
Well, yes. The hypnosis would cause people to bypass their own critical thought.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's even possible.
That's why we can't be hypnotized.
Yeah, I guess so. You said that you used to be involved in finance. What's your take on like heavy metals, crypto, and like how someone should prepare themselves for later in life? Like, what do you think of people that just live hand to mouth intentionally? Like they don't think, they don't learn about saving their money and they just figure they'll worry about it later. Are those people going to be fucked in the end, or does it really not matter? What's your take?
Well, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I think that people who in their ability to hand things off to an institution and then have that be preparation personally, or be fucked over and end up in the same spot as people who didn't prepare at all. So I think whether that's Social Security or your IRA, I think all those will be removed from them. It does show who don't think about the future or prepare at all. It does show a mental sort of laziness that I think is an issue, but I don't know that it will be especially harmful to them, because I think that the ones who did everything right get screwed over by the system, and that's why we see like a housing crash every generation, right? With the crypto stuff, is that we're preparing for a digital dollar, the USDC, or whatever it is that will be global, and I think that they're letting the free work out the infrastructure kinks and get people acclimated to using digital currency. Once the USDC or whatever it is ready to go, I think all the Bitcoins and Ethereums and all that shit is gonna probably become illegal. Certainly lose almost all of its value overnight.
So people won't have the opportunity to like cash it in or convert it to an approved currency.
Correct.
Right. And that's usually just what happens in the stock market. With any kind of stock market situation, people have to be willing to, I mean, for me, I would never want to invest anything that I wasn't willing to lose 100% of.
Yeah, I did make a little bit of money at crypto, but I sold all of it at the end of 2020 and actually bought physical metal, which is not an investment. Your physical metal is not going to gain value, but it's a hedge. It will reduce losses. And if you're in a situation like I was, or like most people are, then you might have some money to invest, but not enough to like buy a chunk of land. For instance, that takes quite a bit of cash. I think metal is a good place to put it. If you're higher risk than me, you might want to play the stock market. I would get back into stocks before I would get back into crypto, though. I just don't think that anybody in the long run is going to really win out on crypto. There is no underlying value to it. At least stock is an ownership share of production, right? But crypto is literally dollars attached to hype.
Yeah. I totally am against crypto. I look at it as nothing more than like a game, like people could, benefit from playing that instead of like a video game if they want. But with metals, that makes perfect sense to me, because in these times of uncertainty, where even by mainstream standards, people are discussing how the financial system might be going through a transition, metals are something in nature that have inherent value. So it's a good place to store your wealth if you've accumulated it in the meantime, so that you can find out what the best currency is going to be, and then use that to convert. Then that's
correct.
What makes sense to me.
I agree, and none of it's perfect, but metal has throughout all of human history been useful as currency, and now that there's more and more technology popping up everywhere, I'm actually fairly surprised that metal isn't worth more than it is, because you've got skyrocketing industrial uses for it. So I bought a lot of silver.
That's really smart.
Silver's also got the best. If you look at the gold to silver, the silver gold ratio, it seems like historically silver is especially undervalued.
If I really felt like things were going to shit. Now wait, let me clarify one thing before going there. People who live hand to mouth and don't have any money, don't stress yourself out and scramble so that you can buy 1 ounce of gold, because then it's not really going to make a difference as you wait out the few years. In that case, if things were really going to go to shit, where people were going to struggle because of things like supply chains, I would want to stock up on weed, pills, cigarettes, antibiotics, baby wipes, diapers. What are some things that you think would be fun to hoard if supply chains were going down, for possible trading purposes that I didn't mention?
So would get rid of the addiction things, because you don't want a bunch of addicts or desperate people knowing that you have medical supplies or their fix in an end of the world situation.
All right, that makes sense. But what if I am very secretive about it and I'm, I act like there's still a government, you know what I mean? Like I'm still on the down low really well, like really plan things out so that only the people I'm closest to, or in that situation, can I not even trust the people closest to me? And I'm not talking about feeding people's addictions, although maybe it would come to that. I'm just saying that like people smoke, so like cigarettes, and I don't think that like weed is going to be that hardcore thing. But maybe like something like heroin, I wouldn't want to be a heroin dealer because that's when people, will do anything to get it.
I would go personally with hygiene products and ammo.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. Toilet paper, baby wipes. Or what about antibiotics? Is that also dangerous because it's too useful?
I don't know. I guess I just invincible. I don't know what the shelf life of those things is, but it's probably short enough that it would disincentivize me.
That makes sense. Well, during 2020, I vowed not to go to a like hospital or doctor the whole year, and I was successful in that year. And when I had one infection, I bought Keflex for beta fish from the pet store. And when I opened it up, it looked exactly like the pill that they give to humans. So I felt so proud of myself and smart, and it worked. So when you go to like look at Amazon, when you look at the Amazon reviews, it says, "Oh my gosh, my fish had the worst toothache and they feel so much better now," which is so hilarious because fish don't have teeth. So they got it for themselves.
Right.
All right. Now, you can't be hypnotized. I don't think you're much of a Jesus freak. But if you had any kind of paranormal experience, I'm going to guess no, because like me and unhypnotizable, I have never had a paranormal experience. I can't astral travel. I've never accidentally like dozed off and slipped out of my body. Remote viewing, I know that the military was conducting research on it, but that's not proof of anything. What do you think about ghosts and remote viewing and all that stuff?
Remote viewing, and I do have a little bit of a woo-woo bone in my body. I believe in manifestation. I believe that our consciousness and our reality more than we give them credit for. I also believe that even though we both were not hypnotizable, I believe in mantras and programming your subconscious brain. So I listen to all sorts of shit music that I grew up with. I don't sing along with any of it, though. That's just not a mantra I want drilled into my head over and over and over again. And if you think about the lyrics of basically any song, she fucking hates me. It's all kind of that sort of garbage. So I do believe that we're all susceptible to that shaping our worldview.
With mantras, real quick, do you believe in like, what do you think about people who say, don't say that you're healing, say that you're already healed? Do you agree with that as like a positive affirmation? Because to me, it's like my brain is just going, that is a lie. That is a lie. You are not healed. That is incorrect. Even though I understand the foundational idea behind it, my brain automatically wants to correct things that are not correct.
I think that there's sort of the people that say that are normally just obnoxious, but I think that their point is correct, but also your point is correct. It has to be something that you either do or can believe, right? If you're never going to believe that you can flap your arms and fly, so there's no point in making that a mantra because you're always going to know that that's impossible. But I think that they're technically probably correct with that advice, just usually pretty annoying about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But mostly I was at some point I became very aware that, music, especially rap and pop, is so rhythmic and hypnotic and repetitive that that when you sit around listening to, I don't remember what concert I was at, but I was like, damn, this is one big fucking brainwashing event. Look at this sea of people all sitting here rhythmically chanting this absurd lyric.
That's why I even feel weird about audiences clapping for people on a stage. I just see like this. I feel like people step out of their individuality and they're just acting like robots when there's some kind of like societal cue. And it's not that there's anything wrong with it. It just like grosses me out for some reason, just to see people acting predictably. So I don't scream at
Programmed and
concerts.
automatic. I get what you're saying.
What's your best, like the best concert you've ever been to, whether or not the music was bad for us or whether or not the lyrics were negative? Slipknot. So you like the screamy metal.
Slipknot was awesome.
What else?
Yeah, I like to mosh and stuff. Slipknot and Dope, the band Dope was really good. And Hell Yeah. I've seen Hell Yeah 3 times. They always put on an awesome show.
Okay, I've never heard of those two. What about like what's the biggest band that the biggest bands that you've seen that I might know who they are?
I mean, the biggest one I've seen is probably Rolling Stones. I went to so Kansas City used to host the biggest one-day music festival on earth, called Rockfest. And I went to that every year for like 11 years, I think. So I've seen a lot of hard rock and metal bands from, they quit in 2020. So from, the past decade or 15 years. I've seen some rap concerts, Kansas City. So I've seen Tech Nine a bunch of times. I've seen Bone Thugs and Harmony. The last concert we went to was Mudvayne. I saw Matchbox 20. I saw Tom Petty before he died.
Nice. So you're like a pretty big concert goer then.
I like concerts and I've been to a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. I'm going to see them again in November in Dallas. So I'm very excited about that. And if anyone else wants to see Iron Maiden, come to Dallas in November.
Hell Yeah. Just I bet you know who Hell Yeah is. It's the band from Pantera. It's the band from Pantera and the lead singer from Mudvayne.
The whole band, like everyone except Dimebag?
Not entirely, but like Vinnie Paul. Vinnie Paul's on drums. Who's the important one? And the bassist, I believe. It's a super group, but you'd recognize some of the songs. Guarantee it.
All right. Sorry to go back to the woo-woo, but I just remembered I wanted to ask you this. So you said that there was a little bit of woo-woo to you. So then you must sometimes think about your death. And they talk about how there's like a white light. Do you go towards the white or do you not go towards the light? Is the white light a way to go to the next step, or is it a trick to recycle you back to Earth again? People say that you should have a plan. So what is your plan, if any?
I have no plan. I think that we have a limited knowledge about what life is and what's beyond life. And I think that that's probably the way it's supposed to be. So I don't stress about that. I think the whole soul trap theory is really bullshit. I can't stand it. And I think it negatively impacts people who then are dwelling in this mindset where we're stuck in hell. If you believe that the world is hell, it will be for you. So I don't get on board with that at all. I don't have a plan. I also trust my ability to improvise. I'm very good at improvising.
I also am very confused about this reality and what it's doing and what we're supposed to do. But I too, like you, have confidence in my ability to improvise. And not only that, I know that even though I haven't done a lot of things that people think I'm supposed to do, like, I don't know, meditate or tell Jesus that he's my savior, I know I'm good. I know I'm a good person. I just know it. So I'm not afraid. But I'm afraid of things that could happen in this physical life. Like, I don't know, being a really, 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 really old person and then having really young people taking care of me and like not doing a good job, you know, taking care of me or something like that. Like that freaks me out. So like, are you afraid of like being alone when you die, or is it kind of like everyone's alone when they die anyway? Do you have any kind of anxiety about like your last maybe 3 to 6 months on Earth?
No, I don't. I don't know what they'll look like. You know, I don't stress about that, about really being really old, because who knows if I'll make it there. And I've been in situations where, you know, I've thought, okay, well, this is it. This is how I die. And I don't know. I'm just low stress. I don't worry about those things. You know, part of it is, you know, that interview question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I hate that question, because there's no point in my life where I could have answered that question and had it been accurate 5 years later, because life goes in unexpected ways, and I don't try to plan. I treat life more like surfing, like you're trying to ride what's happening beneath you, than I do like driving, like you're trying to plot out a course and then make it go there.
For sure. There's no way I could have planned the next 5 years at any point in my life, ever. I can think of any age, and 5 years from that point is nothing like I would have wanted or expected. So
correct. And when you, I don't know, this shows, you know, my personality a bit. When you plan something too much, you get stuck in that plan, and you miss the opportunities that open up around you. So
I definitely agree with that too.
But before we move off of the woo-woo thing, I will say that I've had what's it called? You know that thing where you think about somebody and then the phone rings? Yeah. I've had that quite a bit, and in pretty big ways. Like I got a phone call from my dad the minute I got out of a rolled car. And he was calling to check on me because I was 10 minutes late home when I was younger. And he has never called me ever aside from that time to see why I'm late. I was just always late. You know, that's sort of a normal thing for me. That was one. And the other one is I in similar vein, I saved someone's life who was committing suicide. She was attempting suicide at that time. I just sort of sat up in bed and went, oh shit, we need to go back over to the neighbor's house we were partying at earlier. And so I have had those things happen.
Yeah, that is very mysto-synchronous. I've had the same exact thing where I'm just like, am I just like chalking it up to coincidence, but I'm just psychic? Because sometimes I just feel like I just know things are going to happen. Like all of these times when I said watch the bong, I thought I was being like paranoid, you know, and I just if the person's walking by the bong and if they hit it and it falls over, so be it. At least I said something and won't be like, oh, I was going to say something, but I didn't want to be like an asshole and act like you were the type of clumsy motherfucker that's not paying attention. But then like, it's like the one time that like you don't say watch the bong and then you think like I should say it and then they knock it over. Things like that happening. It's like, I knew that was gonna fucking happen. I knew you were gonna drop that shit. I knew you were gonna burn yourself. I knew you were gonna bang your head on that thing. So I'm psychic about people hurting themselves. Oy vey.
Maybe you're manifesting it. Maybe you're manifesting it.
Oy vey. Oi. Oi, oi, oi.
Oy fucking vey.
Yeah. Isn't it weird that we put babies in diapers? Like, what did people do hundreds and hundreds of years ago? Like, I think that what maybe they did is they just looked at the kid and they were like, ew, what the hell is wrong with you? Don't do that. And you just like lift them up and you like hold them over a river and then they just like figure it out. I the reason I'm bringing this up is because I actually used to think these things and I'm like, don't say that out loud. That's weird. But I met these people who just like, you know, they had like a natural home birth and they started potty training immediately. Like they've never put a diaper on their baby. And I'm like, I knew that was a thing. I just never wanted to say it.
Really?
What do you think of that? Yeah.
How did it work?
When the baby starts to go, they hold them over the toilet and then they just start to figure it out really fast.
But you can't, I mean, that baby has to be carried to the toilet every time. So that's not going to be useful for at least 9 months.
No. They said that they, of course, the pee and the poop just comes out at first, but then if you just are diligent with it, the baby picks up on it. They're a lot smarter. You're teaching them to go in the diaper if you keep putting them in the diaper. So it takes a lot longer with the diaper than if you just treat them like they're supposed to go into the toilet.
All right. I'm on board with that. I'm not diligent enough that I would ever do it with one of my own, but it totally makes sense to me.
Yeah. I don't think I would be able to do it too, but kudos to the people who do. If anyone in the chat is surprised by this and now they're going to get pregnant and have a baby because they found a way out of diapers, type a 1 in the chat. Sorry, I just laughed at my own joke. I do
think that I think though that behavior mindset though, I think that we do treat people like they're stupid or too young for way too long. I think that engaging in the real world and getting out of the brain training factories way younger than they are. There's no reason that a 14, 15, 16-year-old should still be doing all that work that they do in school, but work that produces nothing.
Agreed. That makes no sense. I loved working as a kid. I got my student permit when I was 14 years old. And when I was 12 and 13, I tried to talk to the owner of the ice cream shop and be like, please, let me hire. And he's like, first of all, you need a worker's permit. And second of all, you're not tall enough to reach the bottom of the ice cream barrel. As soon as you're tall enough to reach the ice cream barrel, I'll hire you. And then in the 90s, I don't know if you remember those shoes called Rocket Dogs. They were platform flip-flops that were black.
Yeah.
I'm not a girl, but you remember them. You remember the Rocket Dogs. So I showed up to the ice cream shop when I was 14 in my Rocket Dogs, which gave me a 2-inch advantage. And he told me to reach down with the scooper, and I reached the bottom of the vanilla bean, which was almost empty. And he's like, all right, get your permit. Yep. You could work here. And I've never stopped working. It's just, I need to be doing something and helping people.
Yeah, I had a job at 14 too, and it was, I also think that that's part of the reason that teenagers get in trouble so much, right? If you look at us biologically or historically, by 18, you should be on your second fucking kid, right? But you've got adults basically being stuck in kid mode. It's no wonder they're acting out. I know that I was acting out like a motherfucker.
Oh, me too. I just didn't understand why I needed to listen to authority for the sake of it. I didn't see a functional reason for a curfew. I didn't see the difference between staying out until 10 or staying out until midnight. I wasn't really sleeping anyway. I was done with all of my homework. I got good grades. So it didn't make sense that I would have to stop myself from doing what I wanted to do just because this other external force has some stupid opinion. So that was just the way I saw it. And I totally understand that I was an idiot teenager, but that's just the way I saw it. I wanted to get emancipated and all that shit.
That's part of being a teenager, though, is being an idiot and getting that stuff out before you can face prison.
Yeah. But society is so weird now. Nothing feels natural. It just makes you wonder how things are supposed to be. The whole idea of high school, they even have a genre of films. Ew, it's a high school film, and then you've made high school into a genre. And with genre theory, it has to have all of these certain elements, and it goes through an evolution where there's primitive, classical, revisionist, and then the parody. And now we're living in the parody version of life. And every genre is a parody of itself. And
is genre theory a thing?
Yes. So basically, I applied it inappropriately here, but literally genre theory in film. So like Western, for example, The Great Train Robbery, it would have some elements of what you would call a Western, but it hadn't really solidified yet, where you have like a gun and a cowboy hat. But at the same time, you see lots of like forest and trees when usually you're used to like seeing an open desert. By the time you get to Stagecoach, you've got the prostitute with a golden heart. You've got the drunk doctor, like literally these solidified archetypes, the protagonist in the white hat, the bad cowboy in the black hat. And then you get to something like a revisionist version, like Unforgiven, where like the main character is like an imperfect, mean, broken person, you know?
That's a good movie, though.
And I know, I love that. I'm so glad you like it. And then you have like a black character who's friends with the protagonist, Morgan Freeman. And so then everyone feels like, oh, we recognize these stereotypes and now we're being so edgy and questioning them. And we're going to have a spaghetti Western, which is a Western made by Italians, for fuck's sake. And then we bring it all back full circle to the parody. Every genre will reach the parody phase, like Blazing Saddles, where it's like, oh, we're all in on the joke together and we're going to joke about the genre so that all of us can feel relevant to each other, like we're more important than we really are. I think that's like the psychological thing going on. So that's the genre theory. And then you could even take it further, where then they've reached the conclusion they don't know what the fuck to do. So they will bring like cowboys and aliens together and they'll just mix the genres together. And so it's even more ridiculousness and stretching.
So we're in the idiocracy phase then.
That's what I think.
Seems likely. And I agree. It looks to me like a lot of the social ills are self-imposed psychologically, because so many of us haven't had any real struggles in our life or challenges. And that brings us back full circle to the suffering point, right? Like, we need obstacles and suffering.
I think you just cut out. Did you stop talking, or is my internet shitty?
Or create them is where I ended. It was sort of an abrupt stop.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry for my internet. I'm sorry that I criticized you earlier, because I think that maybe it is me now. There was other things I wanted to cover, but I think I'm ready to close it out, and maybe I will save these other topics for a future part 2 if the audience would ever like to hear that. But I feel like this was a really great conversation. And was it everything that you expected? Do you feel like you've been properly puppeteered and manipulated by the truth secretary, the Jewish truth secretary of the panel?
I am relieved that I made it through, and I didn't get. I feel like I'm happy with it. I'm leaving in a much better mood than Talcott left.
I think so too. Maybe next time, if you want to come back, I'll have a surprise guest, or I'll try and do something to make you cry. We can get creative with it.
Okay, I'm down for that.
Great. All right, my friend. Well, right. I hope that everyone here has a wonderful day. Are you going to start a panel tonight? After this?
Yeah. What time? I'll probably set one up here in just a second.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I'll probably be there later. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Flo. This has been great. And we'll see you next time. Have a great night. Bye-bye.